Chapter 5. At first everything was dark, and all sounds were muffled. I felt the familiar jostle of movement in the car, but I could still barely open my eyes. There was a slight flutter in my chest and nausea crept into my throat. I wanted nothing more than to open my eyes, to see everything around me, to formulate a plan, but my mind was still fuzzy from the drugs he gave me. Despite my heavy lids, I attempted to force my eyes open, and when I could, all I could see was a sliver of blurred roof of the vehicle I was in. I assumed it was a utility van, since I was lying on a hard metal floor and not a soft back seat. The slight jostling of tools around me was also a useful clue. I blinked, but it did nothing to sharpen my vision. Shit, man. She's waking up. Looks like even that's not enough to keep her out long. We need something new. His voice was unknown. The voice was deep and husky, like a smoker. I could even smell cigarette smoke tickling at my nostrils. Give her another dose. It's all we've got until we get there. The boss doesn't even know we nabbed her. He'll be pissed if he found out. That voice belonged to the bartender. How many of these guys were there? Was Carl one of the 3 cronies, or were there more where that came from? Who was their boss? How could I get out of this? My mind raced, but some of it didn't make sense still. Some thoughts were fuzzy and jumbled. I don't know, man. I've seen what she does. And so have I, Johan. Just do it. If you do it now, she won't have a chance to hurt you. Alright. Johan yelled, practically spitting all over me. Small droplets of it landing on my skin, making me feel dirty and disgusting. I wanted to wipe it away, but I was still too weak to do so. I began to rummage around the van, seemingly having lost what they had doped me up with to get me out of the building and into the vehicle. The car made a hard left turn, nearly caused me to roll over. I was barely able to keep myself from rolling into the wall, but Johan was a huge help. I didn't even want him touching me. I was still too weak and tired to really do him any harm, but I could do something. Shit, man. Can you be fucking careful? Johan said as he nearly lost his footing in the back of the van due to an unexpected sway in the vehicle. Sorry. Somebody had cut me off. I pushed weakly on Johan's shoulders, trying to put every ounce of strength I had into it. But he didn't budge. Not even a centimetre. Oh, get off me! I cried, knowing no one could hear me as we weaved through the New York City traffic. Get off me! Shut up! Just shut up! Practically spat in my face. A tear rolled down my cheek, and I could no longer hold in the sobs. Your hand was just a dark mass in front of me. No defined features, nothing to set him apart from the one that looked just the same as the one driving the van. Nothing but a name. That wouldn't be enough. Please, let me go. I sobbed as he took both my wrists into one of his large and rough hands, coming to a position just over me. He straddled me now, his knees pressing in at the sides and putting just enough pressure to keep me from attempting to move. A white blur came into my line of sight, and then I felt its rough and wet texture over my mouth and nose, the sweet smell overtaking my senses again. I cried as I breathed it in. I didn't have a choice. I could hold my breath and just pass out of my own accord for a while, or I could inhale the drug. Either way, I'd be out and at their mercy, unless Hyde finally decided to make an appearance. And there was no telling how long that would take. Within seconds, just like before, the black swallowed me whole once more. When I heard and felt nothing, it was warm and quiet, except the steady beating of my heart. I felt like I swam in thick, warm blood, like a cocoon. There was nothing inside of it but me and the blood. It was the blood of my victims that flowed smoothly from their veins to coat my floor and my skin, staining me forever as an unwilling murderer. It was my sanctuary, my reprieve from whatever they had planned for me once we reached our destination. I was sure they had fresh tortures waiting for me. I only hoped Hyde wouldn't re-emerge too late to do anything about it. Before I knew it, I was barely awake and being carried from the van and into an old building. That was all I could make out when I tried to open my eyes. Cold air moved across my skin, moving smoothly between underneath the long skirt of the dress I was still in from the exhibition. I closed my eyes and sighed as my head fell backward, the sweet smell overtaking me again as we moved into the building. I couldn't see who gave me the dose, and I didn't even try to see who had been carrying me, but I saw the black creeping into my vision again, working from the edges to the inside and enveloping everything. There was nothing left. No escape. No hope. Nothing. Only the warmth of my cocoon. I woke with a start and was alert, but only slightly more alert than I had previously been. My wrists and ankles were restrained and I was cold, goosebumps forming on my skin as I attempted to take in my surroundings. I was laying down, which hadn't been expected. In the movies, you were always strapped to a chair, waiting for your torturers to come to you. Not me. I was special. I was in a room that was barely lit, the dim fluorescent light overhead making it too hard to see anything besides what was directly around me. I squinted past the dim lighting to see what bound me. There was a slight glint of metal in the light that indicated handcuffs. My feet were bound by them as well. Even if Hyde were coming around right at that moment, even she wouldn't be able to get out of heavy-duty handcuffs. Zip ties? Sure. But the metal was an entirely different story. Maybe. I couldn't be too certain. Someone had changed my clothes. I was no longer wearing the beautiful black dress with my seductive Louboutin. My shoes were gone, and the dress had been replaced with a filthy white button-up shirt that had been buttoned up halfway. Thankfully, I was still in my bra and panties. From the feel of it, nothing had been done to me whilst I was blackened out. I sighed in relief and let my head fall back onto the old bed I was lying on. The springs of the mattress jabbed into my back painfully, but I couldn't adjust my body to make the ache stop. My heart raced with anxiety and my throat was sore like I'd been sleeping with my mouth open. I had to keep a cool head if I wanted to get out of this. I didn't even know what this was. The bartender worked with Kyle, and I was only hoping I would live through this long enough to get some answers. Hello? I asked the darkness, quietly at first. No response. Hello! I screamed at the top of my lungs. Stop that yelling! A voice boomed from the dark, echoing off the invisible walls. No one can hear you. I knew that voice, and I knew it well. The bartender was in the room with me. But no matter where I looked, I couldn't see him. The light above me didn't offer enough to see much of anything that went past the bed. Why am I here? Where am I, and why am I here? The second question was already one I already knew the answer to, but there was the possibility I was wrong on all counts. You're in the middle of nowhere, and, well, he smiled a sinister intent, bleeding from between his lips. You're here because you want to be, and you'll remain here until I'm done with you. I jerked against the handcuffs, but all that did was cause them to dig into my skin, pinching an extremely sensitive part of my wrist. Panic and fear, pure and primal, bloomed in my gut as I continued to attempt to free myself. How was I going to get out of this? Where was Hyde? Why was she still so silent? You might as well give up. You're not getting out of those unless I want you to. You don't know what you're doing. Now that's where you're wrong, he said as he walked to the end of the bed where my feet were shackled, gripping the rail with both hands and giving it a squeeze. I know quite a lot about you, Blythe. We've had our eye on you. He was a psycho. They all were. He, Carl, and Johan, they were all using me to help them play some sick little game. Except Carl had died because of their stupidity, and the two that abducted me would likely suffer the same fate. That is, if I could get my psychotic inner friend to do something. Anything. That was what Carl's attempts to pick me up at the bar had been, and why he had drugged me after all. Were they the ones picking off single women in New York? Killing them? Would he rape me? Would he murder me? I was almost too terrified to ask, but curiosity got the better of me. Why? I asked, the question echoing off the walls and hanging there in the dead air between us. You've caught our boss's attention. I was hired to watch you, but Kyle got carried away. So why am I here now? If you are only hired to watch me. I needed to get as much information out of him as possible, so I'd ask as many questions as it took to get them. He began to chuckle, and that laugh turned into uproarious laughter that was so maniacal it sent a chill up my spine. You're here because of Kyle. You killed him, he accused, pointing a finger at me. I don't know what you're talking about, I replied through gritted teeth. I had my jaw clenched so hard I swore I could crack a molar at any moment. You sure about that? I remained silent, watching his eyes as they roamed over me, the instinct to kill rising in me as I saw the anger and the lust fill them. Hyde was barely unfurling herself in my mind, but she was lazy, sluggish, drugged. Adrenaline started to course through my veins and I tugged against my restraints again, even though I knew it wouldn't do me any good. "You're fucking crazy!" I screamed. I attempted to sit up, trying to look him in the eye, but I couldn't. The handcuffs stopped me. "I think we all know who the crazy one in the room is, Blythe. And I'm sure it's not me." Laughter that wasn't mine started to flow from between my dry lips, echoing around us like a promise of vengeance. Hyde was gaining just enough strength to be able to speak through me, but that was all. "You want crazy? You'll see the crazy once I get out of these handcuffs," she thundered from inside me as fits of laughter slipped from me again. Heavy footsteps thundered against the concrete floor as I writhed on the bed, sniggering as if I were insane. It filled the room with intense energy that seemed to caress every inch of my skin. Even he seemed to notice it, as anxiety registered on his face, which made her laugh even harder. I felt the air leaving my lungs as she did so, but it wasn't my voice that came out. It was Hyde's. The thought was terrifying and filled me with relief all at the same time. Now, is that any way for a lady to speak?" He reared back and punched me hard, his fist impacting with my temple. I lay there seeing stars, my brain barely registering the sharp pitch of the needle entering my arm and the warmth that spread through my veins as the drug moved within me, quieting Hyde quickly. She resisted. I felt her push against it, but she gave in because she wasn't strong enough to fight back. "A little something to calm you down," he said as he walked away from me and into the dark shadows beyond the fringes of light. My head swam and fatigue started to bite at the edges of my consciousness, taking large pieces of it every time it snapped its jaws shut. I forced my eyelids to stay open, so I knew I wouldn't be able to for much longer. "What did you give me?" I moaned, my words slurring as my tongue rolled around lazily in my mouth with the formation of the words. He walked back into the light, his bulky form blurred as I watched. "Oh, nothing. Just a little liquid X to keep you and that nasty bitch of yours compliant. It'll keep her quiet. Nice and quiet." He walked over and smoothed the hair back from my sweaty forehead. A pitiful whimper of defeat left me as he grazed his lips over mine, making my body shiver with disgust at his touch. I didn't want him anywhere near me. I didn't want him touching me. I wanted him gone.